Who the hell wants to be rich when they're 60 years old? Everyone wants to be rich in 5 years or when you're young, when you can enjoy it, right? And the same thing happens in my neighborhood a lot. I go back to my neighborhood and half of them are drug addicts and junkies and the other half are just surviving. So there are very few people who have achieved results and success. What is that success due to? If everyone followed the same rules, the system would rely solely on freelancers. If people were paid a base or commission instead of a salary, we would create a very wealthy country. How can it be, man, that a doctor earns less than a property registrar?
And who doesn't work with a basic salary? The tax inspectors?
Of course, they work on commission. There's a well-known agenda called 2030 like in your community. It's a steamroller, moving faster and taking in more.
It's necessary for there to be people and a working class. Those people need to live well.
There aren't crappy salaries, there are crappy monopolies. Spaniards spend 7 out of 12 months of the year paying taxes and are left with 3, 4 or 5 months to actually live. This is important. If you look at the most successful countries like Monaco, Singapore and Dubai, why do they work? First, it's because of the people there.
The people who are socialists and who advocate, because it's the business owner who has to pay. The one who's being suffocated is Manolo, the guy who owns the bar, who's also considered a business owner. They're suffocating Paki, the one who makes your bread. They're suffocating the girl who owns a dental clinic. They're not suffocating Amazon or Google or APES. What do you think about the world of info products?
It bores me a lot. Stop saying that you want to settle, that you don't need much to be happy, that it's already enough.
Everyone wants a good one.
Of course.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Factory. Today we have the great pleasure of having Adrian Gleez with us, a young entrepreneur, a businessman who is buying land in many countries, and he has an extremely interesting story. And if I were you, I would listen very carefully to everything he has to tell us because we can learn a lot. Welcome, Adrian. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm well.
No, thank you so much, Adrian. Tell us, who are you? How did you get here to The Factory?
Well, we came here thanks to a good friend, because he knew you liked a bit of excitement and making a difference. And I think in the end, there's a lot of talk on the internet, but it's always more of the same. People who teach investing without knowing how to invest, or teach finance without ever managing assets themselves. People who tell you how to achieve financial freedom by investing in an index fund with 100 euros until you die at 60. And I share a very different philosophy. Who the hell wants to be rich when they're 60 years old? Everyone wants to be rich in 5 years. Or when you're young and can enjoy it, not taking 80 pills. I think we should share that more. This message that you can make money, that making money is very easy, very easy. You just have to be in the right place and see those opportunities.
Making money is very easy. Many people are going to feel offended by that statement. What basis or arguments support your claim?
Well, first, my background, I come from not having studied any degree, from a normal family, not a spoiled kid or anything like that, from a very dysfunctional family in every sense and aspect. And today I can tell you that it's possible. I broke through a lot of limits. 300 guys, 300 people working on 3 continents, Asia, Africa, and Europe. And I'm the result that it's possible without having anything out of the ordinary.
But that's not true, since meritocracy doesn't exist, as a leftist would say, ha.
Ha ha. Well, what I think is that these people end up convincing themselves to accept the conditions they have. If we put 2 people in the same neighborhood, in Getafe from 20 or 30 years ago,
you wouldn't get out of there?
But put your neighborhood.
Tell me about your neighborhood.
For comparison, I was born in Barcelona but moved to Castelldefels, where the same thing often happens in my neighborhood. I returned to my neighborhood, and half of them are drug addicts and junkies, and the other half are just surviving. So there are very few people who have achieved results and success. What is that success due to? If we played with the same variables as everyone else, even at least some better than me, daddy's boys, French school, English school, everything to be done, what makes one person in the same conditions achieve success and another not? If the factors are the same, why, for me, it starts with mindset. How willing are you to pay that price, to work hard, to work 24/7? There's what I call a fucking price. A damn price you have to pay, and not everyone is willing to pay it.
Literally, today I posted a story talking about how crazy my day has been. I wrote down waking up at 6:30, reading the Bible, boxing, sprints. I skipped some things. Breakfast, meetings, important lunch, more meetings, podcast. Then we have a dinner we need to talk about. certain business matters between you and me, which I will announce to the community. Then I have a family commitment and I say this is the price to pay, having this level of stress. For being a successful man, I don't even consider myself successful yet, but I know that to get there, I have to sacrifice many things that people my age are not willing to. People prefer to go to the club, people prefer to go to the party, do drugs on the weekend to the party, and not sacrifice so many hours. So what you've said seems very powerful and very important to me, Adrian. And now getting more into your personal journey, when did it click for you? When did that mindset start to take over your actions?
The mindset began when I was an altar boy, man, in church, like,
How?
I swear to you, man. I realized something without knowing it. In Spain, only the notary and the priest inspire faith. No, well, I said, damn. I said, that business instinct started in me. I've always been talking with the lady at the candy store, with this one, with that one. And in the church, I would set up a little stand, a cardboard box, to sell the things I had at home and get money for the church. One day it clicked. I left the church and decided to set things up for myself instead of the church. I started mowing my neighbor's lawns when I was just 2 years old, $10 an hour, and I started making some cash without paying a cent. No taxes, no companies, none of that nonsense back then, unlike the crap we have today. And from that, one thing led to another. From there, I started DJing at light sessions, afternoon club events, and then we started the event company. I got equipment, rented it out again, and I was obsessed with money. I loved making money. I like making money. And obviously now I'm in a different stage, but that was my goal.
So from a very young age, you had that entrepreneurial streak, that business mindset. No, yes.
I used to say, either I die trying, but I'm never going to work for anyone else. It's impossible. If they couldn't handle me in school, how will I spend a month in an office chair listening to a boss? They used to kick me out of school.
So when did you start to really take off? When did you decide? Because right now you're not in Spain anymore.
Right?
Tell us about that journey.
Well, 2020 comes, COVID hits, and I see an incredible spectacle. Personally, I know a lot of people have had a hard time, but I think it was a perfect orchestra where we've stopped using cash, where more and more control and security are needed, where people are switching to Apple Pay, Grandma Pay, everything pays so that everything is well controlled. And in that moment, I say, damn, I don't want to live in a society where in the future they tell me you can go out for 10 minutes a day to take out the trash or you have to stay at home. That's when I head to Andorra. I call up Marcus Yale, a good friend. Do you know him?
Yes, a great friend of mine. He'll come.
He'll come. He has to come, Mark. And I say, I want to go Andorra. I look at all the countries there are. I compare Malta, Dubai. We'll talk more about Dubai later, what I think and all that about investments. And in those, since I'm in Barcelona, I say I'm going to go to Andorra, which is just 2 hours away, and I move to Andorra. From there, the process begins. And what I was sure about is that Europe is going down the drain, literally the West too. I saw how I used to have freedom before you did business and paid and everything was super free, and now they control even a damn bizum. Are we reaching a point?
Do you notice, tell me a little bit about it? In Barcelona, you were already earning and had some economic success, correct?
Yes, of course.
Just so the audience knows a little bit, yes, how much are we talking about total revenue? You don't have to say the profit, but how much were you making?
Right, your figure.
Your activities.
I can talk so you get an idea. When I was 20 years old, I started a business on the beach, a beach club, like a beach bar, a Keys, one of those, and me. Just with that business, in 6 months, I made €500,000 per season. I earned 120, 150 per season clean at 20 years old,
That was after taxes?
Yeah, plus the event company I had, plus the marketing and advertising company. I did feel like I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. A lot of people think they're being productive because they're doing 20 things at once, but they're not really excelling at any of them. But I was making a lot of money. I was making a good living. I was driving a great car, a nice BMW. Then I bought another BMW, a 435, and I was billing really well, and I was making a really good living. But that also made me, in the end, realize what politicians are like. I had a public concession, so I've experienced a lot, and I know how they are. And it's the same, right wing, left wing, communists or not, they're all the same crap, just with a different mask, totally.
You said something I'm interested in knowing about. You said that you noticed the difference from when you used to invoice before, that there wasn't so much control, things were a bit wild with invoices and all that, and nowadays they control even a bizum. You said that, right?
Totally.
Explain that to me.
I can give you several comparisons the audience will recognize. First, How did self-employed people used to earn with modules? You paid a fee where it was assumed that you billed X and that's it, and your billing ceiling was huge. And how did it go? A direct estimation where every invoice has to be controlled, every income and every expense. All of us who were self-employed in restaurants as taxi or truck drivers or worked by modules, some remain, but graphic designers are gone and everyone else is out. Second, if you hired a guy, an extra, to work a weekend, a Saturday, as a waiter or whatever, he would come, you'd pay him the agreed wage, 10, 15, 20 an hour, and that was it. Under the table, obviously, like it's always been done.
How will you hire someone under the table? What about healthcare?
Healthcare and social security, and this is what's being sold. I mean, if you take a person and make them understand that the money you pay should go toward paying for your own insurance. In Andorra, I have private insurance and only wait 5 minutes in the emergency room. Why not in Spain? If so much is paid into social security, why is the system collapsed and inefficient? If you as a bar owner have to hire a guy to do some extra work as a waiter, you take a risk whether he shows up or not, like it has happened to me. Or he leaves you hanging, you have to register him, the manager charges you for the registration, 20 or 30 bucks plus what you have to pay the worker, so people don't even hire.
Didn't I have that conversation there with my dear producer, whom the audience already knows? His name is Buru, and I was literally telling him, I'm never going to hire you. You're going to be self-employed your whole life.
That's the key. That's how it is.
Buru, is it true or not? Is it true? Yes.
You just said this. I think it's very important, and I'll throw it to the audience if you let me have this moment. The system should work only with freelancers. If people stopped getting a salary and earned a base or variable income, I assure you we would create a country of wealthy people. Without a doubt.
Very good point. And public employees too, that's totally crazy.
Based on productivity?
Yes, that public employees get paid based on productivity. Man, because at the end of the day, okay, you want to earn 2,500 euros a month, fine. Whoever wants to earn 6,000, let them stay 3 or 4 hours more every day. You want a 9-to-5 job, fine. Whoever wants to arrive at 6 and leave at 6, that person has to earn more than you do. And what I love, Mezcal, is that we then, I love it. I love the interview Mezcal gave me. I love it, hanging out. Thank you.
But it's crazy.
Yeah, but the worst part is that we're bad. And now they're passing the law to reduce working hours.
That's crazy, man.
But anyway, people are applauding it, right? And those who stay to work for free, I don't know how long and all that, it's insane.
How can it be, man, that a doctor earns less than a property registrar or a police officer? It's unthinkable. It's not about risk. It's about what's important for society. And is a tax office clerk worth more than a doctor? Is it crazy?
That really makes it clear what the state's priorities are. And, who doesn't work with a civil servant's base salary? Yes, who doesn't work with a base salary? The tax inspectors.
Of course, man.
They work on commission. Why? Because we know, the tax inspectors have the system that you promote for the whole society. You have your base salary, but the more you catch, there's a big bonus. Those bastards work well, huh? They're really good at going after people. So, look, it's funny how all the lefties who complain about the model we propose, a lot of people, you earn based on what you produce. They apply it in the ministry that works best.
From all over the world?
From all over the world?
From around the world. So, is the Spanish treasury more efficient?
Well, I think it's mafia-like, as is being demonstrated by the law firm Amsterdam Ampersand Company. I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure if you know they're being sued for their mafia-like practices. They take advantage of the fact that people are willing to make a deal just to avoid facing 2.5 years in prison. And come on, at the end of the day, that's what they are. But anyway, you end up paying an amount that maybe you shouldn't have to. And if you fought it, what would happen? What would you win?
No doubt. I was talking about this 3 days ago with some of my friends, top businessmen over there in Menorca, people with assets of more than 100 million. And you say, isn't it inhuman? How can it be that they're demanding money from you? Okay? Because they assume it turned out that way and it went wrong and they demand it from you.
And they freeze your account.
No, you have to put up the money. They freeze or block your funds. And when the resolution comes out in 5, 6, 7 years, they'll pay you what they were supposed to pay. But of course, €1 million now is not the same as €1 million in 5 years in your company's account. That's really tough. So it's definitely an unarmed scam, no doubt.
Totally, man. But well, we all know this. Well, maybe some clueless Rogelio doesn't know.
Let's go back to the move to Andorra. You were billing 120,000, 150,000.
You were making profits of 120,000, 150,000 from that specific business. You had more companies. I mean, life was good for you, life was good for you, and still you decided to leave. Why?
Well, as a result of the pandemic, like I was telling you, I realized where you could move around with a certain freedom, your money in the bank, your cash, and I'm a strong supporter of cash. Please, are you seeing it with Dana, with the volcano, with everything that's happening? Always have cash. Always and cash.
Hey, man.
I'm starting to see how they're taking over you more and more and starting to strangle you. So I kind of look at the big picture and I say, damn, where are we headed? Is this going badly? And there's a famous agenda, as you know, just like your community does, called 2030. And this is like a steamroller. I mean, it just keeps going faster and swallowing up more.
Tell me, from the perspective of a successful businessman, what's your perception of the 2030 agenda? Because I've always heard about it from people with a social critic profile. People know my views, but I'd like to consider it from a more economic angle.
Well, it's very simple. If you have a business, for example, you're going to make a podcast, and for this podcast, you need 15 permits that depend on 15 different agencies. You no longer make the podcast, but if it's as simple as making it tomorrow at home, elsewhere, or in the studio. Here, your focus is on creating, on growing, on generating wealth. Most companies that are now closing or relocating, why is that? Because it's total suffocation. I mean, how can that be? Look, when I had the restaurant on the beach, man, I mean, can you believe that a damn restaurant on the beach where people go to beach bars right on the sand, they tell me the waiters have to wear steel-toed boots? Can you believe that?
That they had to wear boots.
Steel-toed boots, occupational risk prevention, like when they pick up a can or a bottle of water which is heavier or whatever. Steel-toed boots. Do you think someone can go in there at 45 degrees wearing steel-toed boots?
I can't believe that happened to you.
I swear there's even more. You're going to freak out. Emergency exits, if they were open, there aren't even doors. Open, literally. I mean, so people know. Open. Where are the emergency exits? There have to be signs, right? God, ma'am, if this burns, people will run to the beach. What should I do? These are rules, regulations that don't make any sense. This ends up suffocating entrepreneurs and self-employed people. That's all there is to it. So they're not helping, they're not supporting how you can generate wealth, how you can do things. No, it's the opposite.
I wouldn't focus the discussion only on generating wealth either. I don't think everyone is prepared for the level of stress that comes with generating wealth. But they also don't encourage having workers, nor do they encourage being a good worker. I agree that in this life there have to be workers. And the workers, the laborers, the waiters, people who don't have that focus on I'm going to be a great entrepreneur have every right to have a life. Those people are also screwed because people criticize me saying you only care about entrepreneurs. No, my friend. I want the worker to receive 100% of their salary. I want the worker to be able to afford a house. I want the waiter to be able to make a living as a waiter. I want there to be working people and a working class.
I totally agree.
And those people have to live well, but it's not the employer's fault that they can't live well.
But I'm going to tell you two important things. First, the self-employed. The self-employed in Spain, what sustains this country are the small and medium-sized businesses. So in the end, the problem for the self-employed is that they can't focus on opening their bar or their fruit shop. Self-employed people spend more time on paperwork, bills, taxes, and management than serving beers, making omelets, or finding quality products. That's the big problem for the self-employed. And what's the big problem for the worker who earns a lousy salary? There aren't lousy salaries, there are lousy monopolies. Let me explain simply. The market runs on supply and demand. If Uber came now, like many people complain about with taxi drivers, and Uber says people are going to earn 1,200 euros, I don't know how much they actually make, okay? But people are going to earn 1,200 euros. If the 50-year-old or 60-year-old worker who has no other options, or the South American who came here to make a living has no other options and only Uber exists, who has the control? Uber? But if you have Uber, Amazon, McDonald's, and everyone competing for the same number of people, people would choose where to work because companies would have to offer better conditions, supply and demand. If there's more work than workers, what's going to happen is that the few people available can choose where they want to work. That's why people get paid lousy wages. It's not just part of the tax system, it's because they've already figured out very well how to let big corporations in to turn society into slaves.
In hospitality, especially with many bars, I think it's one of Spain's highest turnover sectors. There's no monopoly there, and they're still getting paid lousy wages. Of course,
Because the cost of entry there is very high. How can a person, a small neighborhood bar, afford to pay 2,500 or 3,000 euros for a guy? 1,500 euros according to the waiter agreement, plus 700 or 800 for social security, plus payroll, accounting, and so on. 3,000 euros, it's impossible. How much does that business, that bar, have to make in order to pay a guy? 3,000, 9,000? What business makes that much? 30,000 euros in a neighborhood cafe selling coffee at €1.50? It's inhuman. And they work, what? 14, 15, 16 hours just to survive? How many people used to make money with a bar? How many people really had money? Bakers? People used to flourish with wealth. Who makes money now?
do you think that after COVID there has been an increase in poverty in Spain?
Without a doubt, no. Let me explain it very simply. Right now, we're starting from a very tough base, and that's the underground economy. This is something that the system goes against the underground economy, but we are born into a civilization of the underground economy. Spaniards are used to wheeling and dealing to doing business. That's how they've been shaped. So if you want to break the underground economy, you don't need to impose more oppression, more control and submission, because that just makes people avoid it. What do people do now? I don't have a card reader, like the barber I saw yesterday. No card reader. It's not a lie. Send me a Bitham, pay me in cash. This is not true. Why? Because there's no system that helps. I remember my first year in Andorra when a construction worker visited my house. Coming from Spain, I asked the usual, can we do this without an invoice? He replied, what do you mean without an invoice? No, I'll give you an invoice, you make the transfer and that's it. But doesn't it interest you more without value-added tax? He didn't want to, but do you know why he didn't want to? Because the value-added tax is 4.5%. That's the Impost General Indirecta, which is the value-added tax in Andorra. Who would want to pay without an invoice? You'd want to pay without an invoice when you have a 21% value-added tax, but with 4%, nobody even considers paying without an invoice at all. Since COVID, as you were asking me, has that been the change? Where people now say, damn, I just don't have any room to maneuver. And then the other thing you have to keep in mind is that if you go back 50 years regarding what you earned in your income, the state, the tax burden was between 10 and 15%. Nowadays, this has become almost 60%. That is, out of 12 months in a year, Spaniards spend 7 paying taxes and are left with 3, 4, or 5 to live on, which as fate would have it. That's when September comes, the January slope, Christmas, Halloween, and all the holidays. For the little you have left, you end up spending it all during Christmas.
It's brutal, isn't it?
Unbelievable. The system is terrible.
Man, earlier you said something I want you to explain to me. You said that Europe has no future. You mentioned Spain, so why refer to Europe as a whole?
Because look, Europe used to be a great world power. If you look at charts of dominance in international trade, Europe, we had industries like the automotive sector, the first Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen, the best brands were European. Europe had gastronomic products, everything related to food, importers and exporters on a global level. Europe had, in terms of technology, inventions and so on, enormous potential. First in transplants, in a series of incredible things. Companies like Spain are developing railway infrastructures in Saudi Arabia or other countries. So Europe was a great power at the time when they let the Chinese and Asians in. You can't compete at the same level as they can because they're going to do it cheaper. If you compare a car, like it's been until now, with an engine, but you start making an electric one in something they themselves can do, they're going to wipe you out because they work faster and cheaper. And this is what has happened. The best-selling car, the best-selling motorcycle are Asian. And that's it. I have friends inside important groups like the Volkswagen Group who are trying to move factories to India. Training Indian engineers. In order to compete on price, companies like Porsche, like Jaguar, have been taken down. There's just no potential.
You're criticizing the free market, just so you know.
In what sense?
I'm not an international free market supporter as long as the conditions in the world aren't equal. What can't happen is that European companies, as you rightly said, compete with such a big disadvantage. Like, for example, China, which has extremely cheap labor.
Totally. A Chinese person shouldn't have better conditions than a Spaniard to open a bar here.
But neither should a Chinese company. The free market doesn't make sense to me, so I'm not a big supporter. Haha, there are important factors to consider. Let me explain. How is it possible that the Chinese impose a tariff of almost 40% so that a wealthy Chinese person can have the new Mercedes, but in Europe we don't impose any kind of tariff on Chinese products? I mean, they're smart, they prioritize their own products to boost their economy. And meanwhile, we allow them to impose those taxes on us, and we don't impose anything on them. That's why I like the Trumpist philosophy of no, if you put tariffs on my products, I'll raise tariffs on yours. Because how can there be a free market if the free market is always one way?
Take care of them at home, exactly. Take care of them at home, that's it.
I support the free market within the national framework.
Taking care of them at home.
And European?
Free market for sure. At my house, only those I invite can enter. This is what we need to take care of because we both have to add and receive. This is important. If you look at the countries that work, which are the best countries in the world that work? Switzerland, Monaco, Singapore, Dubai. Why? Because in those countries, the people who are already in the country come first. If you commit a crime, you're out on the street and extradited. There's no begging or anything. It just doesn't happen. But why? We can't just be a sideshow in the Canary Islands for gay pride. We need to care for our people and focus on what's happening. Like what happens in Andorra? Why is Andorra, as we said, such a closed-minded country? And yet there's still a surplus and there's extra money because they do things right.
But in the Andorran state, there's extra money?
Yes.
There's extra money, but how? Andorra has top healthcare. I expected donkeys, but they have the best care, plus roads and education like we're told here.
But roads in Andorra, do you ride donkeys? More or less, yes, of course.
Some people here claim that without taking 50% of my taxes, there won't be roads. Do they actually believe that?
Imagine for each worker, if you give them 800 euros in hand, what kind of insurance could they afford? What healthcare or education could they afford with 800 euros? Could they get good insurance or a good school for their child? And of course, you could save and invest a lot of money every month, a lot of money, but the system is completely broken, it's unsustainable. Plus, instead of supporting small businesses and the little guys who kept things going, they're eliminating them. And now they let big companies like Amazon and others oppress them, and they pretend to help others. How are you going to help others? Do you think that Amazon, a company like Amazon, which I buy from, is making that small kiosk, that old bookstore, sell on Amazon, taking their business data, taking how much they make, how much they sell and what they don't sell? In 3 months, they'll close your store and launch their own product. And to hell with the small business.
To hell with the small business. And what people don't realize either, which is something that rarely gets talked about, is that such high taxes for companies only benefit the big corporations because they're the ones who can afford them. This is a topic,
and that has structures.
Of course, structures are used to avoid paying, but some lack those structures. I mean, what people don't realize is that the ideology or the people who are socialists and who argue that the businessman has to pay, the one they're suffocating is Manolo, the guy from the bar who's also considered a businessman. They're suffocating Paki, the one who makes your bread. They're suffocating the girl who owns a dental clinic. They're not suffocating Amazon or Google or Apple. They don't care about them. They're eliminating their small competitors and taking over the entire market, creating a monopoly. As you mentioned, people don't fully understand this.
The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Absolutely. This is the 2030 agenda. And the goal is very clear. There are 4 years left, and this is going to happen. Will Booking, Uber, or Amazon have the monopoly, or will it be platforms like Facebook or Instagram as we're seeing?
Absolutely. Man, I also want to ask you something. Europe is falling, we all know it. Don't you invest in Europe?
Have I ever invested much in Europe? I had a lot of housing and a lot of real estate for long-term rentals, what everyone knows. And when I moved to Andorra, I started letting go of all my assets, rotating them to pivot. To pivot the properties. I don't trust long-term stays, so I only do short-term deals like buying, renovating, selling, dissolving joint ownership, and buying debt, just on a personal level. And the rest to invest abroad. The future isn't in Europe.
Where is the future?
Be very clear and straightforward. Africa and Asia. 200%, I'm so certain that even if they cut off both my arms, I'd still say the same. Yes.
What investments do you have in Africa? What investments do you have in Asia?
In Africa, specifically in Tanzania, I have hotels. I also have a safari company. And well, I'm accumulating land like crazy. I mean, like crazy just to have pieces of land. And this is something I learned from the rich because development is natural. So sooner or later, the population expands. It needs more land to farm, for services, and to live. And in Indonesia, in Asia,
Indonesia.
I have hotels.
Yes, it's among the world's most populous countries, but not Indonesia.
Top 10 is going to happen, and top 3, 350 million people.
It has almost the same as the United States.
It's insanely wide. It's the same as from Madrid to Pakistan, just so you get an idea of the distance.
Indonesia is like an archipelago, right?
Yes, it's crazy. And it's a leading power in primary resources, exports, everything. So you realize it's impossible to compete with them. For every child born in our family, they get rid of 10. So it's like the Baroquis, right? We complain so much, but it's a silent invasion.
I don't complain about them. I complain about us at the end of the day. We're the ones who don't realize that we're going to disappear as a society and civilization. But let's focus a little on the topic of business. Is Tanzania profitable? The hotel in Tanzania?
Damn, it can be profitable for you, not super profitable. You might think, what do you mean by super profitable, super profitable? I mean, when...
Well, you'll give me a little room, right? I want to go one day, okay? I want to go one day.
It's all good, no problem. Are you aware that hiring a worker there only costs $100 to $150 a month?
Sorry for the interruption. I just have a question. The argument that many people who criticize our mentality use is that we're exploiting those people by giving them that salary. That's how they see it.
No, not at all. It's the opposite. They see opportunity. I mean, they see the chance to work, to bring money home. The family culture that we've lost, where families, grandparents, children, and parents, everyone stuck together. Now, not anymore, less and less. But over there, they still keep it alive. So everyone helps each other in that family unit and contributes to the family, whether it's for an illness, for a child's education, or whatever is needed. And I teach them a lot. I teach them how things work. Financial education applied to Tanzania. I teach using chickens and chicks, and I tell them, look, if you get paid on Saturday and you spend your salary on a beer, you're always doomed to work for me. But if what you get on Saturday, you buy a chicken, and that chicken lays eggs, you have food and a chicken that lays eggs.
You save part of the money you spend on food by getting the eggs from the chicken.
Exactly, and they're amazed because the example helps them understand. I tell them there's even more. If you start buying more chickens and you have more and more eggs, you can sell the eggs and now you save on food and you have an asset.
Yes, until you stop working. For me,
exactly, that's how I explain it. And my goal is for them to start their own businesses, live well, be happy, and have freedom.
So they don't feel oppressed by the evil white capitalist exploiter?
Not at all, not at all. We teach them Spanish, we help them at school with clothes, with everything. Yes, it's about their mother.
So, why? Generally, people with leftist ideology consider that opening factories in Asia or Africa where labor is cheaper is exploitation.
Because they're poor, that's why they're not rich. If they were rich, they would look out for their own interests. It's very simple. If you have to hire a painter to paint your house, what are you going to do? Look for the best price. Not just quality and price, but you compare the price a lot, right? Are you hiring the same painter because you like him or because he's cheaper and better? Since they don't work and live off the government, it's easy for them to say that.
But it's true, let's not fool ourselves. There is a certain moral code. Some companies, both in China and Taiwan, break it, like Nike and Apple. We can argue that it's true there are many factories that are overexploited.
Without a doubt, and they take advantage of people on another level. In fact, does it go that far in Dubai? In Dubai, there are communities of Indians, people from other countries like Pakistan and so on, who work like slaves for the rich. So, we can look at it from different perspectives. It's a very delicate topic. Do you see a Pakistani who goes to Dubai to work like a slave, or a Pakistani who leaves Pakistan for choosing to earn $100 for his and his family's future instead of just $10 a month?
Yes, that's where we get into the topic of context. Europeans are either very spoiled or very well accustomed, I'm not going to say spoiled, to having labor rights, to having a decent salary, which I think is very good, obviously.
But do you think there's a decent salary? No.
Every time it's...
There isn't a decent salary.
Less and less. There, I saw an interview in which some people with this ideology participated at those factories, and the people who worked there said they were happy to work in those factories because otherwise their fate would have been even worse. We have to understand, I like it, but I hate the word, sorry. Eurocentric is like, no, because everything is seen from that perspective, but they are also extremely Eurocentric when it comes to judging the conditions that other people have all over the world. Because at the end of the day, the worst day for a person here might be the best day for an average person in Indonesia or in other countries.
That's called freedom. That's what I stand for. I'm neither right wing nor left wing. I'm for freedom. Do whatever the hell you want, as long as you don't bother anyone. My second philosophy is to treat others as I want to be treated, so I go through life without wronging anyone.
What investments do you hold in Asia?
Well, I have hotels there and I do real estate promotions for investors. For example, if you want to build your house, your villa, or your complex, we build it for you and manage it for you.
But you moved to Andorra in 2020. Did you already have all these businesses in Tanzania? I mean, in 5 years, how have you done it? Are you the owner of the hotels?
Yes.
So let's see. Tell me a little bit about the process of moving to Andorra. Having a beach club, sorry to say, but there's a big difference between owning a beach club and a marketing company and a sound company and being the owner of hotels on several continents. It's a leap that I think is worth you telling me a bit about. How did you get there?
Okay. We haven't mentioned an important point. I bought my first property at 20. I bought a small beachfront apartment in Barcelona, which sparked my interest in real estate. So I bought my first property and started earning commissions and acting as an intermediary. What I had already done with my rental apartment, I started doing for other people. Friends ask if I can rent out their apartment, but I have no idea how. Yeah, of course. And what I did was use the same damn contract template, just change the information, and that was it. That's why I charged 250 euros. I remember making your rental contract and finding you a tenant like it was today. That evolved, so then I started charging you a month's rent. It kept evolving. If you needed a renovation, I'd give you the contact of people I knew, and it was...
You evolved in every way.
Obviously, it's the best business of the century. Wow, Toro, Alejandro, 18, 19, 20, 21, and possibly up to 30. And that's when I start doing buying and selling, also of homes. Like, hey, can you sell my apartment? Hey, can you sell my house? And I start getting into this market and doing real estate deals. This is one of the companies I have. I mean, that's what I do. Or actually, the whole team and I are dedicated to finding opportunities for investors. Whether it's a family office or a fund in Spain or internationally. From there, I started doing even more. And in just a few years, we're moving 120 million euros a year in transactions, closing an average of 2 or 3 deals per week. And in those moments, when I move to Andorra, obviously there are certain limitations. I have to pivot my assets. It was a very interesting situation. When doing business, you need to structure it well, which is why you need a lawyer and tax advisor to help. How did that point come about where you decided to start building hotels? It's very simple. I was already making a very good living in the real estate world, in the restaurant business, and with other companies where I was a partner. I had a laser machine company for cutting and engraving, which was in the logistics sector, and other different businesses where I was an advisor. And at that point during COVID, it blew my mind, and I realized that the only thing people wanted was to travel. Our generation prefers, unlike our parents or grandparents, instead of having a ham shoulder at home or eating good food, owning a second home, renting and traveling the world, taking and sharing photos as much as possible. So something clicks in my head and I say, I have to get into the tourism sector. And obviously not in Spain. So I start analyzing in Spain.
No, Spain is a tourist paradise.
Are you seeing it when a guy like Colboni or like, it doesn't matter, Ayuso in Madrid or the state, he's telling you that in 2 or 3 years, Sevilla and Villa won't be in Spain. This goes against the market. It's crazy.
I understand. It's as if solving housing means opposing tourism.
Who is it going to benefit? The hotel chains, Marriott, NH, all those who will raise the prices. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. But anyway, going back to that, I open a parenthesis to get into tourism. I go to Mexico. I spend a month and a half there. A really beautiful country, really beautiful people, Mexico. But I've never had such a hard time. Why have I felt on alert? Go on. You go with friends, there are promoters and so on. Wait, getting out of the car all day with bodyguards, bars on the doors, people with machine guns, I mean, it's inhuman. We went through 2 security checkpoints that weren't really security, they were just 2 guys with vests for kidnapping. I mean, damn, I get a bad impression and I feel bad about it because I really do love Mexico.
Man, but unfortunately, yeah, man, and small. By the way, I hope they fix their problem with crime and the cartels because unfortunately, it's a very sensitive issue. Yeah,
Among the world's top countries for resources.
it's the most powerful Spanish speaking country in every way. Frankly, Mexico should be the cradle of Hispanic culture. Mexico was the capital of the Spanish Empire, Mexico City, and today it's a nest of Freemasons and drug traffickers. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Let's continue. Did you get a bad impression of Mexico? And yes,
I study other countries like Peru, which also have government issues and more. I plan to start a cool agro-tourism project with some friends and clients, including soccer players, but nothing happened. I was looking at Ecuador, I was looking at Colombia, where I also had another friend who was investing, and Latin America, Central America. It's just risky territory. It's impossible. In one of those moments, a friend and student of mine from my business and investment courses asked me, "Hey, have you looked into Tanzania yet?" "Hey, listen to my damn life, Tanzania." I saw it on the map and I said, "What's this? Why?" And he told me a phrase that I still remember to this day. And it's, "Can you buy a store for $1,000 and rent it out for €1,000 a night?" I almost said, "How? That's not possible."
renting it out 5 times a month gives you a great return.
No, exactly. And I said, it can't be true. At some point, you start looking at the country. I analyzed the market, and yeah, I realized that canvas tents, man, they're in demand. Americans, Asians, super cool. Oh my God, they want the full safari experience, that plan, that mood. If you see them there, they show up with their little hats and pay an unbelievable amount. Incredible, but inhuman. And November of 22, I show up there with this friend and with others who also had safari companies, and I buy half of the first hotel from them. We can talk about this another time. They scammed me. We fell for a really good scam. $1.5 million, I complained to him about everything.
And you found them, the trial, right?
They're from Barcelona, and the trial is coming up soon.
You're going to win it, right?
Well, in the end, I always say there's never any justice. I mean, I have every chance to win because it's well argued. How did that scam happen?
Because it's important. Of course, you succeed, you make money, millions, ha ha ha. But it's also good for people to understand that setbacks come in this world. How did that scam happen? Before we continue, just a quick aside, please.
Well, it was very simple. We were going to make a deal where they would contribute their knowledge of the area. They had a safari company 20 years ago, and they had some accommodation there. In fact, this is it too. So, well, my friend brings them to me. They're friends who know each other, have traveled together, and are part of the elite. Rookie mistake, 100% not doing proper due diligence, not studying them thoroughly, not getting everything, their criminal records, everything, absolutely, and nothing. We go there, we really connect, we understood each other, and I buy half of that first hotel from them, 50%, which is rented to a group, to a management company. Right after that, we go on to build the next one, March, April 2023, 5 hectares in the Serengeti, where I set up some bubbles. They're called COM with 2 O's. And they had to take care of the construction part, contacts, on the land, permits and all that. And I handled the part I'm good at, which is business development, business plan, marketing, shaping that business. I don't start sending money, and for every 100,000 euros I send, they send 3,000. So I call my partner Jordi and I tell him, hey, the construction isn't moving forward. They're scamming us, man. June 23. I take Joel, a great friend who's now my manager and has always believed in me. I appreciate everything he's done. Few people would have moved to the savannah, lived in a tent, and used the outdoors as a bathroom just to start the project. And we go there, and it turns out that not even a quarter of the money we had sent was there. And the work they were supposed to have done was completely fake. You see yourself as the project manager after getting your life together, but then you're sleeping in a tent, showering with a bucket, and your life falls apart. I wonder, what am I doing here? I mean, I felt like throwing everything away and quitting because I already had my freedom. Partido Socialista Obrero Español, yes, exactly, and getting a universal income, right? And, well, I start to get everything back on track. The carpenter scammed me, the structures were falling apart. We opened the hotel with guests inside, then it started raining and the downstairs began collapsing. To this day, we're still waiting to fix it. And in one of those situations, we ended up in conflict, where we've spent over a year in meetings, calls, and lawsuits. To claim the money they failed to put in as required really overwhelmed me, because I had to contribute double instead of just one. And the work and everything they haven't done. They also scammed me with the first hotel where I was supposed to get rent. I haven't seen any money, and there are several things we'll pursue to the end.
Well, so now people know who we are. Well, I'm not even close to that level of income, but still, that's the goal. Although it's not just about money. My goal, but well,
I know, that's the nice thing.
that's the nice part. But what about the danger? Continue with the thread of the story. So, how do you redirect this story, and how, in the end, do you succeed in Tanzania?
Well, nothing. With Joel, I get down to work. My partner Jordy comes and goes like I do. He just had a baby, so we take turns, each of us going every other month. We rebuild the whole hotel with our suppliers. Now I know things about Tanzania that few people do. I made many contacts, including at the political level, and got everything back on track to secure the necessary permits we previously didn't know about. I mean, we were building without a construction license, and you need to have a construction license. We were operating without an opening license, and you needed to have a license. I mean, thousands of things, right? Finally, we got everything done. The hotel was up and running in December. And like I said, that's when clients started arriving and everything began to fall apart. We had to close again and rebuild it. And then, at the end of 23, beginning of 24, the hotel started to get going more or less, and reservations started coming in. Things started moving. I'm very good at business, and we've positioned it very well. Now we have almost 26,000 followers on Instagram and a very, very good occupancy rate. We're around 60-70% in the middle of summer, fully booked. Will we end up with very good numbers this year?
I'm really glad, man. Yeah. And in the end, with the partners, they're not partners anymore.
We're working on it. I've tried the nice way and the hard way. I always try the nice way first.
But do they still want to keep the percentage you had agreed on?
Of course, it's like the government. If you have a partner who doesn't put in a dime and takes 50% or 60% or 70%, whatever, that's not the case, right? If they leave, they'll still get a share without contributing. Who wouldn't want that?
They didn't put in anything.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, I could specify what, but just so you get an idea, in an investment of $1.5 million, they maybe put in $30,000. Damn, just imagine. And as for work, nothing.
Have you tried to buy their shares for?
We've tried thousands of negotiations, but there was no way. And this happens to a lot of people many times. And now, well, you start learning.
But one question, are they aware that they've messed things up for you, right? Have they admitted it to you? What's their perspective? If I bring them on the podcast, how would they describe this disagreement?
Their perspective is that they opened the doors to Tanzania for us. So because of that, they deserve everything and more. But honestly, they didn't really open any doors for us. I mean, they helped us find a piece of land and the hotel that I bought. Their 50% was paid like with money, so there was nothing else. So it's like if you say, come to Madrid, I'll introduce you to a contact, and then I get 50% of everything you do in Madrid and Medellin. I'm going to tell you, hey Jota, I'm not stupid. I can give you a little something, not a big gift.
But that happened to me with someone, with a smart guy, man. Yeah, something pretty curious happened to me. We went to Marbella, to Bernaque, Franco Tenaglia's place. He connected me with two people there who stayed at his house and all that. They were business people. And today one of them is my partner. And they were going to buy part of everything I had, my image, my shows and so on, for some money so I could get some capital. And this person showed up. He introduced us without any business intention. We were going to a sports event. It just so happened that they were at his house. Did he invite me or not? It's the usual meeting where I say, I'll introduce you and bring these people. If you do business from this, I would like you to save me a little something, a percentage, a commission, because it's a business environment. It's an event. I'm giving you the introduction, you know. I made that happen and talk beforehand. And he came to me asking for a share of what they were offering me for keeping 15% of my image, of me, of my podcast, of my community, of everything he wanted, a 5%. And I said to him, but wait, how does this work? How is this possible? I mean, how did you even think of doing this?
I learned that for every two fools, there's a smart guy.
Hey, that's a good one, but that's how it is.
Huh? I mean, my cousin, I have a cousin, a little bit of a troublemaker, you know, we've all had one. And when I was 14 or 15 years old, when I started going to clubs, he told me to remember this, and it's still the best lesson I got from him. For every two fools, there's a smart one. It's your choice to be the smart one or the fool. And this happens in society and all over the world, right? So there are people, sorry, trying to take advantage of others. So you have to be careful, careful.
He was hugely mistaken because I'm not the fool.
He was trying to act smart.
I didn't send him a voice message, listen, but you're slow. And in the end, that didn't happen. I still keep my percentages of everything. In the end, it didn't happen for various reasons. It was to move to Andorra, you know? I wanted enough money to pay a year in advance for the apartment plus the 50,000 euros needed to move in, but it didn't happen because he said he wasn't going to Andorra yet. I think I need to grow more here and I might lose focus. I need to stay for my businesses and have to be here for another year. I don't think in 2026, well, by 2026, I can't be here anymore. But in the end, it didn't happen. I decided not to do it. And they were offering me some money, not a huge amount, but they were offering me some cash. And this bastard only wanted 5%. Because it's like if I introduce you now to my producer, the famous Baru, and you hire him. I told him, hey, bro, for any business you get with Adri, like recording reels or doing a podcast, I want 5% of whatever he pays you. But why? Why? Because that's just how it is. You know what I mean?
Is it crazy? Yeah, but well, I think these people won't get very far.
Man, at the end of the day, you really have to take care of your circle. I think socially, you can't sacrifice yourself trying to get more than you should from certain people, man. Having a negotiator's mindset is valuable, but you need to know when and how much to charge, when to request a commission, and when not to. No, brother, it's fine. That was shameless. That was absolutely shameless. Man, I want to talk about something now. Asia. Where do you have hotels in Asia? You told me everything about Tanzania. How did you acquire the hotels in Asia?
Well, I start to see, I think we've all experienced it, the momentum. Bali, 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 Bali.
Do you have hotels in Bali?
No, not in Bali, in Lombok, which is the island next door, which is the new Bali. Okay, and now, if you want, I'll explain why not. It's true. I mean, it's not just me saying it. The numbers say it. The numbers say it. I mean, just so you get an idea, Bali blows up. It goes super viral, super Instagrammable, right? And it gets to the point where it's fake. I mean, I tell most people, Bali for me is not the place to be calm. The amount of noise, stress, and traffic there is inhuman, really inhuman. The Bali from 3, 4, 5 years ago, more like 4 or 5. All right, I'm not even talking about 10 years ago, but now, man, they're all in a pool, packed together, and you have to ask if they can make some space for you. People move aside, they take the picture, and then they go right back to crowding you in the pools and everything. No, it's just disgusting.
Man, I'm not going.
You won't believe it.
I'll start throwing punches there.
Studying Indonesia interested me because I know it has great potential. Well, a friend of mine from the community, a student, tells me he has some land there in Lombok, and my best friend is in the south of the island. Well, we spent a long time with him getting on my nerves. A friend, a student, offered land to build villas but doesn't know how to run the business. And one day I called him and said, hey, this land you have, I'm going to help you set up the business. I'm interested in opening a new location. I'm interested in offering a product for my investors. Also, for the first time, being able to invest abroad, which I hadn't done until now. So, are we going to put this mix together? Discuss it with whoever you need to. If it works out with the other partner, we'll see how to shape it, start talks, partnership agreements, and assign roles. And that's where I start developing the whole business. So I've set up a complex, which is 30 years, 25 villas, where some villas are owned by investors, their own villa, and others are ours. It operates like a hotel with spas and is inspired by the 3 elements of nature. It's called Lombok Souls. Look it up. Amazing. And I start there with the whole team, with my architect, with everyone, designing and shaping it. And now, well, it's working great. We opened in May, first quarter, break even. I mean, a business that opens and in that first quarter, break even, and second quarter. Come on.
That's tough, huh?
I mean,
tough in a positive way.
Investors panicked the first month.
Break even.
First quarter? Okay. We opened and closed June at break even.
For those who don't know, break even, it's when you recover your investment. You know, from that point on, all the money you make is profit.
Break even point, we reached the break even point. That means the hotel is now self-sustaining, covering its expenses based on what we bring in. And the next quarter, we've closed with full bookings until October. Right now, I mean almost.
Or it's fully booked right now?
Fully booked until October. Almost. Yes. September has dropped a little, but this summer we've been packed. I mean, absolutely. Over 8 on booking, almost 5 on Google. It's crazy. We've been packed and already giving returns to investors right after opening. I've never seen that in any business in my life.
For investors to already be able to take and distribute some money is truly incredible. Imagine how it helps with raising capital. How do you convince someone to bet on you without having results?
Well, look, I base myself on the three values of my life, which are loyalty, word, and trust. And in what I was telling you before, in the philosophy, do what you would like to be done to you. If you tell me, damn, Gleez, I want to invest with you in Indonesia, why are you going to invest? Since a friend already invested and I trusted you, but there are 50,000 others in Lombok to invest with, not just me. So why choose to invest with me? We have mutual friends, right? I've never had a public office. Only investors and clients referred by word of mouth have visited. So this has led to a large group of people now, and there's an excess demand to invest with me in deals. I mean, just to give you an idea, in Lombok we receive an average of about 4 or 5 requests per day to invest there, which we can't accommodate. Do you filter them?
Who do you want to partner with?
Well, in the end, let's be clear. The projects are what they are and the land is what it is, and that's what we have. So the product is what it is. You usually set priorities by order, but if you're my friend or family, you're obviously a priority.
Say, for example, when you are opening a project and you have 10 investment requests, do you prioritize by closeness? Or is it by order of arrival?
We haven't even sold the projects when I was with Spicy Fortuna, with Mark Argel and company, right, who has a villa there. As investors, we didn't sell it either. When I went to Spicy, everything was already sold. We had to make 5 more roads because the 30 were already sold. I sold it with 4 friends and 4 WhatsApp messages. Hey, I'm going to open a hotel. If you want to co-invest with me, it's going to work like this. It was our first project and sold out in 3 months. Everything, totaling $2 million.
Damn, man.
And now, well, we're going to do more. I'm going to do more. Yeah, I'm already selling, but in the end, the projects don't even go public. Many of them. So people sign up and soon we'll release more so they can co-invest and go hand in hand with people who know what they're doing, because that's the most important thing. In Indonesia or other countries, there are a lot of smart people. Like you were saying, I ask, hey, but what have you done? No, I've only been a waiter or an insurance broker. So they don't have a clue. They don't know anything about real estate, investments, hotels, or anything. And actually, I am involved in hotels. I come from the real estate world. I know how things are built and done, which also gives people confidence.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you a question. Do you have digital businesses? What do you think about the world of info products?
It bores me a lot. In fact, it's something I don't mention when I talk, when people ask me, or rather, do you do trainings? Yes, but it's not something I like because I think 99% of them are a scam. People sell courses with results they don't have. That's what I was telling you. They teach people how to make money when they've never made money. They never teach you how to invest when they've never invested. Never how to manage your assets when they don't have any assets.
But that's the problem with about 99%, I estimate. And what bothers me is the guy who sells you a course on how to make money by selling courses on how to make money. No, the FOC and mindset. Arrolados Masivo, personally, I think he's a smart guy. He knows his stuff. He knows the game. But the students, I don't know if they realize the level of cluelessness they show on camera. Then there's, for example, RAX. They're people with results, people with experience who open an artificial intelligence academy, who even have graduations, and then a lot of people have come out of there. They find opportunities by teaching you to monetize right away. So people in Spain immediately associate anything that's an info product with, this guy is scamming me, and that really pisses me off. The other day, someone, just for having a paid community of $15 a month, we held an open house and lowered the price so people could look inside. I offered a free 7-day trial saying they could stay if they liked it. One person said, I thought you were different. Listen to me, man, my face, Adri was like, do you think I'm your slave? I have an infrastructure set up. I take the time to gather bibliography, to read it.
Or like if you don't do it,
Studies. No, but it's not key. The worst part is that you see what I have set up there, man, and you say, man, this is worth way more than 9 or 15 euros a month.
you don't have to let it affect you.
No, but it really pisses me off, man, that people associate selling with they want to rob me, but those same people subscribe to Netflix, to Amazon, to watch crappy shows that don't give them anything or that they don't even watch. And I don't want followers, I want to make that very clear. I don't want followers who can't accept that I have the need to grow and to sell. I'll sell you a drink if you want it. I'm not forcing you to watch the show. Paying only if you want to.
Could you do it?
Could I? It would be legitimate, but I don't do it. I offer hours of free content, 2 free shows, and plenty for people. hours of conversation. Whoever wants just that, there it is for whoever wants it. Something more personal, something more structured, something else. I have a paid community, man, and people are there. People don't leave. 5% of people leave the community. That's a very low rate for a membership. People don't leave, but there are followers who tell me, I thought you were different. People are also, man, very selfish, and they think that those of us who create content, who do social criticism, don't have the right to do any kind of business. As long as you're not scamming people. Are you crazy? I mean, I don't know if you get the mentality, I'm your slave, I'm here to give you totally free access, and I live off of air. I don't have a subsidy for idiots like you, maybe from the Partido Socialista Obrero Español, bro.
Literally. Look, I always say that you either buy or sell. That's the only thing you can do in life. Either you buy or you sell. If you rent a place, you pay money and someone is selling to you and making the business. If you don't sell and you only buy food and whatever else, then someone is doing business with you. It's simple. Once you understand, the rules change and you aim to sell more than you buy. This shifts your life by generating business, money, and freedom.
And you have to understand that we all buy, without a doubt, we all buy.
I'm selling my time right now too, right? I buy this time in a way, and this is very important to understand.
Yeah, man, but it really pisses me off because these are people who don't even have the socialist virus. In Spain, there's a virus called envy, which people hardly talk about. And the virus, the mentality that anyone who wants to make money is already bad, already not trustworthy. I don't trust you anymore, Jota. I thought you were different.
It's crazy. It happens to me a lot. I notice it when I drive my car. I have a nice car.
Which one is it? Ha ha ha.
I'm not sure if I should say it. An Aston Martin, a special F1 edition. And when I go down to Spain, damn, people look at me like I'm a god. And the kids and the people. And sometimes I even feel bad saying, at what point did we start idolizing this? And not everyone has to drive a supercar. At what point do people have to drive a beat-up car from 20 years ago where you have to roll up the window by hand or things like that? I mean, what we should have is a rich country where people drive supercars, fly in private jets, and create abundance and luxury.
That would be ideal. In Andorra, no one is surprised by a supercar. Are you just another one? They pass by constantly. There's a lot of money there. Honestly, I love Andorra's mentality because at the end of the day, it's a mentality where if someone has more than you, what you want is to learn and say, hey, listen, man, how did you do this? Hey, just like that. On the other hand, if you mention money or business here, people start talking. This guy's letting it go to his head, thinks he's something and is going to crash. Honestly, that really pisses me off. Man, in Spain, that's not normal. There's a saying, if you see a guy in Spain with a supercar, the first thing you think is either he's a rich kid or a drug dealer. There's no in between.
He's been so lucky, hasn't he?
The phrase, he's been so lucky? Now that guy's an idiot for sure. Yeah, why? Why? Why don't you want to have the supercar? That's not my goal in life, nor to have the biggest mansion in the world. I have more metaphysical aspirations focused on changing things. But let me tell you, man, I truly believe that seeking wealth is moral.
But let's not be fake. I mean, if I say this to the audience, who doesn't like living well? Who doesn't like a massage every day, driving a nice car, flying in?
Do you know what I am? A damn Siba, right?
When it comes to eating,
that's where I shine, my boy.
We don't have priorities.
I like oysters, red shrimp, and who doesn't? And you put...
He likes to eat rice and chicken. He's a liar. I say it to his face.
Hey, careful with the rice and chicken, good rice, and hey, careful with the rice and chicken. This is important, right? Look, Buru will kill you, right, Buru?
Do you prefer sirloin or not?
Yes.
Yes, obviously everyone does. And anyone who says otherwise is lying. So stop saying that you're willing to settle, that you don't need much to be happy, that it's already enough.
Everyone wants a good life.
Man, of course. So fight for it. I tell my community, remove the no and replace it with how exactly. Change the no for how and...
Replace I would like to with I'm going to.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah.
Neuro-linguistic programming, man. In the end, I think my podcast project succeeded because I never doubted it would go well.
That's great.
And I programmed my brain for it. Failure wasn't an option. I chose this path and it worked out no matter what. And it did, man. And to this day, I'm surrounded by people, man, like you. I'm surrounded by people like Carlos, like Victor, like Albice, there are a lot of people, man, who helped me grow. And I've realized, man, that at the end of the day, the people you surround yourself with have a huge influence on the destination you're going to reach.
No doubt the right place with the right people. Absolutely.
Man, you and I are having dinner now. Who knows, maybe something interesting will happen, or maybe someone interesting will show up in your community live stream.
I mean, am I going to show things coolers?
He's going to give a masterclass in the community, folks. It's not going to be, obviously, this is included. It's not extra. You don't pay for anything. He's coming to give a class in the community. You should know that in the community, all my contacts and important people. I even do 2 live sessions a month. They give classes, they share information, they do live sessions so you can ask them questions just like I'm doing with him. You can do it now and learn from those already where you want to be.
They're going to freak out.
No, they're already freaking out. I told you I didn't get the whole community thing or why people weren't joining, then realized I needed to add some finance and economic growth. At the end of the day, that's what people care about most, and we're including it. People are happy, and I want to keep growing the community because the value inside is incredible. That's the part I'm missing. Then there's my drink. I don't even mention what the test trade makes because to me that money doesn't exist. You get it? Do I live off that? What I want is a business that appreciates in value, a company that's constantly growing. If 10,000 comes in, I want to spend it. On what? On growing the company, on sponsoring this event, on sponsoring that. I'm not sure if we'll have announced our plans for the drink by the time this show airs. But we're going to put on an event, super hyper mega top, a mix of professionals and so on. And at the end, professionals with really big influences from Spain. And at the end of the day, I told one of the influencers who's coming to the event, who's also skyrocketing, he's making good money. A really great guy, super honest, he has a ton of investments. He sends me a voice message saying, Jota, I know you're busy and don't want to stress you, but we need to discuss a few things. I reply, yeah, I'm really overwhelmed and stressed, but it's the life we've chosen. And he told me, bro, I love that phrase, it's the life we've chosen, and the results are there. If someone wants their Aston Martin, I don't have one. It's not like I'm aiming for an Aston Martin either. I just want to be able to aspire to have it. Exactly.
That's freedom, yeah, being able to choose what you want to do, where to go. For me, that's what money brings me. I mean, money, material things are crap. The problem is that people don't understand this. You have to have the freedom to choose with whom, man, and what.
Totally, Adri, man, totally. And at the end of the day, you have to surround yourself, man, with people who want the same things you want, who share your values, who have your principles. Because if you keep surrounding yourself with people who, at the end of the day, tell you you're an idiot, you're not going to make it, who whisper behind your back, look at this guy trying to make money with an online store, taking artificial intelligence courses. They're going to scam him for sure. Look at this guy leaving his home to go to Andorra, like Jaime Serrano from Rax, whose friends whispered behind his back. They're going to scam this guy, Victor A. Victor and Carlos are going to scam him, right? Look at him now, gentlemen. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, and you win in proportion to what you risk and what you're willing to sacrifice. And the first thing you sacrifice to get certain results is your time. Going back to the topic of digital business, Adri, man, at the end of the day, how would you teach people to separate the wheat from the chaff?
Look, I'll tell you, buy from people with results, it's very simple.
The grain from the chaff, right? Yeah, I messed up. The grain from the chaff.
I mean, don't fool yourself. Come on, that's the point. Don't fool yourself. Buy from people with results, but don't buy from the one who just has a car. Don't buy from the one who, I don't know, the one who fakes a lifestyle with a Rolex. That's all fake and false. Buy from people, if you want someone to help you with your assets, buy from someone who has seen 1,000 assets. You want someone who, to help you build hotels, buy from someone who has built hotels. I mean, I always say the same thing. I'm in the online world. I started in 2020 teaching people how I did business and investments. There have already been, I don't know, 5,000 students, a lot of people. I take small groups, right? Because that's when I can be there. This isn't common in the online world. You know it? A visible face appears and someone else gives you the classes, right? But anyway, where do I go when I enter the online world? You can believe me or not believe me. But you can go to my hotels around the world, you can go to my businesses and you can ask, and that's mine. Paid, managed, with reviews, ratings, and my booking position all belong to me and can't be taken away. My results are there. From there, I connect with you or not, you like it or you don't like it, that's another thing. But the results are there now. Let people show me the results they have.
I think the main trick when buying an info product from someone is that they show you any activity. To make money online, that info product, their business, what they're selling you, should be only 5% of their revenue. It has to be extremely profitable because then they really know what they're talking about. If they make more money selling you, the information that helped them make money if they make more from that than from what they're selling you?
I'll make a comparison so everyone can see. I'll share numbers I probably shouldn't from my training company. We must be making $500,000 a year. I have about 12 companies. Okay, from the training company, $500,000. Just from the safari company. We'll close the year with €1,000,000. About 150,000 a month we're billing just from the safari company. So you can see how much I care about training. In terms of the money I make, no, my focus is on my businesses and my investments, and I do the rest. Why do I build community, create traffic, build an audience? Like now that I'm showing up a bit more and I enjoy sharing what I know.
You sell because you can sell in your hotels, right now in your hotel. We hadn't talked about this, but I'll pin it below in your hotel's Instagram, brother. We'll leave it in the description so people can see it. I'm going to Tanzania. I don't need to visit every continent, but I've been invited and have yet to visit Asia or Africa. I haven't been to Africa before.
You're invited. Let's set a date.
Let's pick a date, brother, and go together if you want, since there's a day off. Adrian's uncle, it's been a pleasure having you here. I've really enjoyed this conversation too. Honestly, you learn a lot. And folks, just so you know, anyone who joins the community has access to Adrian. We're going to talk about a lot of things, so you get preferential treatment and the option that not everyone has, to have a masterclass with him completely free. If you want to subscribe, the link is pinned down below. Anyone complaining about a digital service isn't welcome in my community or as a follower, because I'm not a slave. Sorry, but this just happened to me and it's still fresh.
Exactly. Did that sound familiar to you? Did it sound familiar?
It pisses me off that people don't appreciate, man, the effort I put in, man. So there's an ecosystem that benefits them, man, and me. Obviously, that effort and that work deserve to be rewarded. When people tell me that, I ask, are you a total leftist? They deny it, but it sure seems that way.
You need to go through this and see for yourself to understand the community's value. What you earn seems miserable to me. But we're going to talk about things like how not to pay inheritance tax legally, fiscally, how to go from paying 30% on an inheritance to paying just 1%, or how to use dissipators, triangulators, how to protect your assets. I mean, things that are worth a lot of money, I assure you.
I know it, man. But, well, gentlemen, we can't. My father said a great phrase. He taught it to me. I don't know if it's his, but he taught it to me. The law of success doesn't exist, but the law of failure does, and it's trying to keep everyone happy. That's a really good one, totally. So, gentlemen, it's been a great pleasure. See you in the next episode of The Factory.